Welcome to the second Monday Abilene Startup Community special presentation. Mike Michler sends his welcomes and regrets. They made a trip to see a brother-in-law or something that they didn't know if they would get to see him. I don't know if he's in bad health. I don't think so, but anyway, something kind of motivated them to take this trip sooner than later. So it was a road trip that they're going to be gone about a week or so. So I don't know that he'll even be back with us next Monday when we go back to meeting at different restaurants. For those of you who are guests, welcome. The format, like I say, this is kind of an unusual but common Monday, where unusual in that normally we're just very organically meeting at different restaurants to share kind of fellowship and encouragement of one another. However, on the second Monday of the month, Mike has it structured so that there's a little more of an education or a equipping speaker that we have. And so today I want to introduce D. Grant Smith. He's a longtime Abilene, and he is a growth farmer. So if you saw the introduction video, you got a little bit of that. I think it's very appropriate, too, that he's our guest speaker this week on the heels of the Enterprise Exchange, whose theme was about belief. And so he's going to bring us the topic today about belief in self-care as business owners and entrepreneurs. Again, appreciate everybody being here. We'll see if we have any time at the end, maybe for questions, or we might be able to go around the room and let everybody introduce themselves. If not, make sure, if you don't recognize a face or somebody, feel free to introduce yourself. Like I say, it's pretty laid back here, and we just let things, Mike tends to encourage things to happen organically amongst people, but good things happen here. So glad everybody's here, and let's welcome D. Grant Smith.
Thanks, David. So I tried to be prepared by having worksheets for you guys to kind of be able to follow along. I don't really do slides because it's always like it has always been a thing where, you're pressing the button and is the slide going, and I didn't want to be distracted by all that stuff. So instead, there's a worksheet in front of you. I'm going to be telling you what to put in there, aside from the things that are open-ended questions, so you can follow along. But on the underside of the worksheet is a little short survey. And when I'm finished talking with you guys today, if you guys would just fill that out and give me some feedback on what stood out the most to you, and maybe even some suggestions for things I could do to add more value. But that's a way for me to be able to grow from these presentations and opportunities as I'm with you. And also it gives me a way to follow up with you and kind of build a connection and build a relationship. Because everything I'm going to be sharing with you guys today is about relationships. And we're going to start with the relationship you have with yourself. But before we even get into any of that stuff, what I want to ask you to do is, let's just clear out our minds of all the stuff that we brought with us into this place so that we can be open to receiving some new information and wisdom and perspective, okay? Very simple exercise. If you'll just close your eyes, and if you're still eating, that's okay, but just close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that there is a bright, shiny white light just above your head. This light is full of peace and calm and love. Now, I want you to take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in, let that light come into your mind. Come into your body, come into your chest, come into your arms and your legs, and just flow all through you, filling you with peace and love, calm. And as you breathe out, I want you to release any stress, tension, worry, anxiety, fear, nervousness, doubt, anything that's not serving you. Now breathe in again, breathe in calm, peace. Breathe out anything not serving you. Let go of the day, let go of anything, release anything that you brought with you. It's okay. You can pick that stuff up maybe later if you want to, but hopefully when you're finished listening to this, you'll only carry things with you that serve you. And breathe in one more time, peace, calm. Breathe out everything that doesn't serve you. Okay, awesome. I'm very big on simplicity. And that's what I'm going to share with you guys here. I found in my own personal life and in my professional journey that when I try to take on something new to grow myself in a professional endeavor, or grow myself personally, when I try to do something that has 15 steps or a bunch of complicated processes, immediately I feel overwhelmed. And I start wondering, is this even possible? Does this work? Can I do it? And so guess what I'm inviting into myself while I'm doing all this stuff? All kinds of resistance from being able to do the things that I want to do. So instead of adding extra complication to stuff, everything I'm going to show you how to do, all the tools, everything that we workshop with today is going to be just that. Simple, because my hope and my prayer and my desire and intention is that you take what I impart to you today and you implement that into your personal life, and in doing that, implement that into your business to impact the people that you work with, the people that you work for, and the people that you serve, because everything we do is interconnected. If we think that our lives, our personal lives, and our business lives are two separate entities, we're mistaken. Because I don't know about you, do you step out of your body and then jump into this other body when you decide to go to work in the morning? No. You're still you, and you're taking with you everything that's in here and everything that's in here. And you're taking that with you into your work environment. I heard this wonderful lady tell me this beautiful metaphor last week. She said, self-care is like making perfume. And the more you love and the more you care for yourself, the better your perfume smells. But guess what? The opposite of that is also true. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not fostering love and peace and harmony within yourself, if you're not working on the relationship that you have with you, which also impacts the relationship you have with God or the divine, however you care to look at that, the perfume you're putting off probably smells more like really rancid BO. And who wants to smell that? But the more you foster and grow love within yourself, the more vibrant and beautiful your perfume is. Now, another way of looking at this is we all create atmospheres. So you have an influence in every area of your life, and every relationship you have an influence and a connection with the people based on the atmosphere that you're creating. If what's going on inside here, we're going to talk about gardening in a minute, but if what's going on inside here is full of doubt and fear and anxiety, that's what's going to, bless you, that's going to be what comes out of you. And that's going to create this atmosphere that everybody around you experiences when they're around you. They're smelling that kind of perfume. And it impacts the way that they operate and the way that they work, especially if you are a leader and you are a manager and you're wanting to lead other people and inspire other people to take action, to perform at their best, to do what it is that they have signed up to do. The impetus on you as a leader is to be the best version of yourself so that what you are doing is creating the best atmosphere for people to operate and thrive in. Here's the reality that all of us need to address and realize. What you plant, foster, and cultivate within your mind and within your heart through your thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and what you allow to influence you will be what you produce/harvest in your life through your actions, attitudes, and behaviors. It will also be what you attract into your life. So, all of us are gardeners. And the garden that we are farming in is the garden of the mind and the garden of the heart. And all of us have been influenced to believe certain things about ourselves, to think certain things on an ongoing basis, and to operate in certain ways, usually based on our experiences as a child. Raise your hand if you experienced any form of bullying growing up. Okay, what did that do to the way that you believed about yourself? Did it lead you to totally believe that you can do anything you want to and that everybody's going to be on board with what you have going on? If it did, man, you're working a miracle. That wasn't my experience from being bullied. It made me question my worth at every level. And it wasn't just in friendships or taking a walk to school and hoping I don't get beat up. It carried over into my young adult life, my interpersonal relationships, made me fearful of, even in friendships, somebody going, you know what, dude, I don't like you anymore. I lived with that fear for a really long time. It led to fears in business and marketing myself. Are people actually going to care about what it is that I have to say? Am I going to actually be able to sell this thing that I know I feel called to? Will anybody even care? Will it matter? All of that was seeds of doubt and fear and anxiety that were inside my head and had been inside my head for the longest time, that were producing thorns or weeds in this proverbial inner garden. The only person that could change that was me. Nobody else can farm my inner garden. I have to do that for myself. Nobody else can farm your inner garden. You have to do that for yourself. You want to change the results that you're experiencing in your life, you change your beliefs. There's all kinds of neuroscience on this. You want to read some insights on people that do this on very, very high levels. Dr. Joe Dispenza is a really good source. There's several other people. But it is what goes on in our minds determines so much about what we live out in our lives. Again, I'm big on simplicity, so let's dive into some tools that you can use and that I will show you not only what the tools are and what they do, but I'm going to show you how to implement these tools in methods that actually work, that are not only incredibly effective, but incredibly simple. Now, one of the blanks on your sheet, on your worksheet says, the first blank is, we live out the stories we tell ourselves. That's our beliefs. What it is that's going on inside of our minds that we're telling ourselves to be the truth about who we are and who other people are, those are the stories we're living out. Now, one of the cool things about learning how to write stories, we've got a couple authors in this room. Anytime you're writing a story, whether it's fictional or nonfiction, fiction or nonfiction, if you make a mistake on what you're writing, what do? You go back and correct it. So if you're making a mistake, or there's some sort of negativity in the story that you're telling yourself, you change the story by going inside and going, what is it about this story that is not serving me? I'm going to show you guys how to do that in just a little bit. When it comes to results, what kinds of results is it that we're actually looking for? When you hear talks and trainings and stuff like this, you're wanting to grow your business, you're wanting to make more money, you're wanting to increase your market share, you're wanting to reach more people, you want to have more harmonious relationships with your teams and staff. If there's anything else, write it down in the blanks. But we all do trainings and listen to people like me talk about stuff because we want to achieve some sort of result. But often what we do is we think about the problems that are in the way of the result. And whatever you focus on is what grows. So, if the result is the thing that you want, instead of telling yourself it can't happen, or you don't know how to make it happen and get bogged down and stuck in the how-to process, or the it's impossible for me, or all the doubts and fears and worries that are going on inside here, one of the ways we cultivate our inner garden is we change the story. And you don't have to know how it's going to happen. You just need to have faith that it will. There's a lady named Bethany Standridge, I think is her name. She was the chaplain here for the police department for the longest time. But she told me this really beautiful metaphor before we even had a chance to talk about growth farming and all my metaphoric stuff. But she said, it's my job to plant the seed, and it's God's job to do the invisible work under the soil. And I don't know if any of you guys have spent any amount of time doing any sort of gardening work at all. I spent a little bit of time doing that about 4 years ago. I followed the instructions on the back of the seed thing because I wanted to have some okra. I love okra. Well, I planted okra when I was supposed to. I tended the pots, and I had the most healthy soil and all this stuff, and I watered them every day and every evening. And it said in 3 to 4 weeks you should start seeing little sprouts come up. Well, 3 to 4 weeks went by and I didn't see anything. And I was like, what did I do wrong? I'm watering it every day. I'm even talking to the plant, telling it how excited I am. It's going to be coming up through the soil and how you're going to make some great okra and this is going to be fantastic. I was just speaking all kinds of love into this plant. I was just really encouraging and 5 weeks went by and I still wasn't seeing it. I'm like, what is going on here? I've done everything I was supposed to do. I followed the instructions to a T. I have watered it. I made sure it's getting enough sun, where in Texas, sun is not a problem for us. Like, I've done everything I'm supposed to do. And then I had that memory. It's my job to plant the seed. It's my job to water. It's my job to make sure that it's all the things above ground are happening the way they're supposed to, but it's God's job to do the invisible work under the soil. And the same thing is true in the minds of us and in our hearts. It's our job to tend our garden, to take care of our beliefs, to take care of our thoughts and our inner self-talk. And it's God's job to make the impossible come into reality. So you telling yourself it can be done, not only that, you telling yourself it is done, you making the declaration that, you know what, this is done. I don't know how, but that's not my job. My job is to have faith and to believe and to change my story and change my belief. So here are 3 simple tools that you can use, and I'm going to show you how to use them every day in very simple ways. But number 1 is cultivate your inner success. What you believe to be true is what you live out. If you believe that things are impossible, you're going to struggle. And I know this to be true because I believed things to be impossible for about 35 years. That was my internal story. I told myself I wasn't good enough. I wasn't like I was outright thinking I'm not good enough, but the thoughts that I had on a consistent basis was, this isn't going to work. These people don't care about what I have to say. I'm not going to be successful at this. And then at the same time, I'm praying, dear God, please make this work. Please make this work. I really need to make this work, please. And all of that desperate energy, all of that like, I'm not good enough, please make this happen, that's not faith. That's not confidence. And that's certainly not love. I had to go inside, look at my beliefs, and consciously make changes to the way that I saw myself, what I believed to be true about myself, and change the story. All of that is cultivating success from within. Instead of expecting it to be this external thing that's going to come to me and then I'm going to feel good about me, no, it starts within. So part of it's mindset. I talk about the garden of the heart because the garden of the heart is the way that you feel. And if you just try to change the thoughts, but you don't change the way you feel, you're not really changing anything. You're kind of trying to paint the house and then call it new. You've got to change the inside of it as well. You've got to change the way you feel. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. The second tool is this: be first. Now, I want to be really clear on what that means. Being first is about prioritization of your own mental and emotional well-being. It's not about competition. It's not about you winning against somebody else. This isn't about beating anybody else. This is about you prioritizing yourself as your first priority, because here's a little bit of insight into your life that you might or might not be aware of. You are the one person in life you cannot live without. We tell ourselves all the time that there's certain people that we love with all of our hearts and all of our minds and all of our souls, and we can't live without them. And as much as we don't want to even contemplate that thought, because it's not a pleasant thought, it's not a loving thought, the reality is, if I'm not alive, I'm not alive. So I'm the one person I can't live without. Why in the world am I placing other people as a higher priority over myself? Why am I caring so much about what other people think about me instead of what I think about me? Why am I caring so much about the well-being of other people and their happiness and making their happiness my number one priority when that's not my responsibility? And actually, that doesn't serve me at all. When I show up as the best version of myself, when I show up fully as the love that I am, all of my relationships benefit because my perfume is awesome and everyone wants to be around it. Also, I'm operating as my best self. Being love and being encouragement and words of affirmation are my number one love language, and I am awesome at it. I know this because people experience this, and they tell me that. When I'm operating at my best self, this just flows out of me. I don't have to do anything or try to what can I say to Tim so he'll feel good today? I really want Tim to, I don't have to do that. We just have a conversation, and I just open my mouth, and homeboy feels good, right? When we're operating as our best selves, when we are tending our inner garden, the tree of life is growing from within us and coming out and blessing us in all of our relationships. And this isn't just true in our interpersonal relationships with our significant other or our kids or our best friends. This is especially true in our business, with the people that we work with and the people that we serve, because we're operating from a place of love. We're operating from a place of abundance. We're not operating from a place of scarcity and lack and doubt and fear. You guys have probably all had experiences working with or for someone who operated out of doubt and fear. Did it make you encouraged to show up at work in the morning? Did it make you want to do your best? Did it sometimes make you want to go, dude, I'm sorry, man, I can't help you, and I don't care, because this just sucks. I don't like this environment. I don't like this perfume. I felt that way. I worked somewhere for a really long time where our senior boss would tell us in meetings, nobody cares what we do. This isn't going to work. We can try really hard, but it doesn't matter. All right, guys, go out there and do a good job. Why? You just said it didn't matter. All this Debbie Downerness, Eeyore, where's the motivation to do anything with that? So if you are in a leadership position and you are wanting your teams and staff to excel and you're wondering why they're not doing things the way you want them to, you got to check yourself because you're wrecking yourself. That responsibility is with you. That success is with you. Also, this is the third tool, empowerment creates a culture of winners. When you see the best in others and you speak that into being, especially when you speak that to people, the game changes. I'm going to give you an example. Everybody knows the name Michael Jordan. Why? Because he's one of the greatest basketball players? Yes. Because he won 6 national championships? Yes. But guess what? Michael Jordan spent his first 5 seasons in the NBA and couldn't make it past the first round of the playoffs. Why is that? Oh, he wasn't fully matured yet. Well, there's lots of guys that go season after season after season as an all-star and never make it past the first round of the playoffs. What made the difference for Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls was this. The organization said, we've got too much riding on this one player. He can't do it by himself. They brought in Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson radically and dynamically changed the culture of the Chicago Bulls, the culture of the way the teams played together. They surrounded Jordan with complementary players that were perfect in his weaknesses and complemented his strengths. So it wasn't all riding on his shoulders, but one of the key things was Phil Jackson saw the absolute best in everybody, and he drew that out of them, which is why he was also able to win multiple championships with the Lakers. But once this empowerment culture became the culture of the team, they won, and they won, and they won, and they won, and they won. It started from within. Phil Jackson has written several books about inner growth, personal development, and changing the way that you see yourself, which impacts the way that you see other people and impacts the connection and the influence that you have on other people. This is how you grow your business, how you grow your relationships, and how you grow yourself. So, those are the 3 tools. How do you use the tools? Number 1, change your self-talk. Become aware of the conversations you're having within yourself. What are the stories that you're telling yourself to be true about who you are and about what's going to happen in your life? Just be aware of that. And by the way, I still have doubtful stories that pop into my head because I'm still human. Even though I am Superman, I'm still human. And I still have these moments where I'm like, emotions I don't like, and I still have to wrestle through that because it's part of the journey and part of the process. But be aware of the stories that you're telling yourself and explore them, and don't beat yourself up over it, because beating yourself up over anything doesn't serve you. Love yourself. Treat yourself with kindness. Treat yourself with gentleness. Treat yourself with respect. Here's a belief that I have. We are our own beta test for every relationship that we have. Do I want to know what kindness feels like in a relationship with somebody else? Yes, I do. Well, guess where I get to start? I get to start with me. The better I get at being kind with myself, the easier it is for me to be kind with other people. I don't have to think about it. It just comes natural. Kind of like playing piano. I want to get good at playing piano. I want to get good at playing this song. I've got to practice this song over and over and over again. And then when I sit down to play, I don't have to look at the notes. I don't have to listen to it. I just know because I've been doing it. Here's one of the blanks. Number 5, we get good at what we do. One of my old mentors told me that. We get good at what we do. He would remind me all the time, we get good at what we do. And at first I didn't get that, but now I understand. I want to be good at something. I want to be proficient in something. I want to be proficient in being encouraging and proficient at being empowering and proficient at being inspiring. Then I need to practice that with myself. I need to inspire myself instead of looking for somebody else to inspire me to move forward. I need to treat myself with kindness and gentleness and respect instead of hoping that somebody else will give that to me so that then I'll be able to feel good. No, you start with you. You are the beta test for yourself. When you notice that you've got a negative story that you're telling yourself, maybe you've got a story that says, this isn't going to work, or nobody's going to care. Wayne Dyer taught this. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So if you have a story that says, nobody cares, you're looking at this story right here. Nobody cares. I'm looking at that from a different angle. People do care. Why? Because I'm cool, and I'm fun, and I like myself. Now, there's a little Stuart Smalley in there from Saturday Night Live circa 1995, but it's true. It's true, and it works.
Is he the guy that used to say you have to look at yourself?
He was the guy that said, something, and gosh darn it, people like me, looking in the mirror. I was trying to reference that point.
That was another.
Okay.
You have to look at yourself.
Yeah, okay. But so I'm gonna give you an example or an exercise to put that into play in just a minute. But change the way that you're looking at your story and change the story that you're telling yourself. Now, how can you do this in simple, practical ways? Here is something that I've been doing for the past 3 years that has totally radically changed my personal life and my business life. Because there was a period of time when I hid from everybody and I was scared of the world. And then I met my absolute worst fears come to life, which was rejection and abandonment, and I went through divorce. And my whole world went, woo! Not rock bottom, like 200 stories below rock bottom. I quit my business. I didn't think that anybody would trust a relationship coach who lost his primary relationship. I thought that invalidated anything that I had ever done. But in that place of brokenness, that's when I met God in a way that I'd never met God before. I was sitting in my kitchen, and I suddenly had a memory of my wedding day. And for a moment, I felt the joy and elation that I felt on that day. But then, everything went black. And I heard this little voice in my head say, this isn't your life anymore. She left you. She confirmed that you're really not good enough. Because that was the true belief I had inside me. That was the seed that had been growing and producing all kinds of stuff inside me for 35 and a half years. I fell into the floor, crying, sobbing, shaking uncontrollably. It was just like the most torrential torment I'd experienced. But it was in that place where I met love. And in gentle kindness, the voice of love said, you don't know what love is. You don't know how to love yourself. and this is the true cause of all of your pain. That was when my light finally came on. And that's what got me on this journey that I'm sharing with you here, where I realized that the real problems that I'd faced wasn't a matter of other people. It was me. And the only person that could change my life and produce success was me. But I had to become the farmer of my garden. This is what self-care is. And this is why self-care is the key to all success in every area of your life. You can study business tactics, you can study marketing tactics, you can study funnels, you can study all these growth mechanisms, but unless you get your beliefs right about who you are and what you're capable of, and you truly love and believe in yourself, all that stuff doesn't matter. Again, I know from experience because I have spent thousands of dollars on very, very big name coaches that had all kinds of great plans, but they didn't teach me how to love myself. And that's where you have to start. You have to start at the foundational level and you build from there. So here's a simple practice. It takes 5 to 7 minutes every day. You can write on the back of this sheet if you want to. It's a simple journal practice. I've got just a notebook. I use journals like this. First thing you're going to write down, gratitude, colon. I want you to write down 2 to 3 things, first thing, that you are grateful for. Maybe you're grateful for your relationship with your partner. Maybe you're grateful for the relationships with your children. Maybe you're grateful for your job. Maybe you're grateful for the house and the roof over your head. Maybe you're grateful for your car. Maybe you're grateful for something that you've been praying about that hasn't happened yet, but you want to go ahead and practice gratitude before it arrives. Do that. I've manifested all kinds of stuff doing that. Second thing you're going to write down, affirmations. An affirmation is a declaration and a statement of faith about what you believe to be true about yourself. Here's what my affirmations are. I am love. I am love. I'm love walking around with arms, legs, hands, and feet. I am love when I speak. I am love when I talk. I'm love when I look at people. I don't have to seek after love. I don't have to chase after love. I'm already home. Guess what? Every single one of you are loved too. Why? Because God lives inside of all of us. And infinite love already lives inside of you. That means it's already a part of you. That means it's already who you are. And so if you are love, you are whole. I wrote a book called Be Solid, How to Go Through Hell and Come Out Whole. I had spent 35 and a half years living in a perpetual hell because I didn't love myself. When I learned how to love myself, I understood what wholeness really was. And it's a process. It's not perfection. But it's about stepping into the wholeness of who you are. So write affirmation statements. This is how you change your self-talk and change your beliefs. Write down belief statements. I have a thriving and successful business. I am a successful business owner. I am a dynamic leader. I am successful in all that I do. By the way, what is the words I am? In the Bible, that's the name for God. So if you're going to identify yourself as I am, you better make it about something that God is. Don't attach a negative feeling or a negative belief. I'm not even going to say it. Don't attach sadness to I am. Don't attach sick or not feeling well to I am, because that's what you're saying God is, the God that lives inside of you, and He's none of those things. I am that I am. You decide what that looks like, but make it love. Third thing you're going to write down, and this is where we get to be creative, we get to use one of the greatest gifts that God has given us, and that is the power of our imagination. You're going to write down this one word, story, colon. Now, I advocate you using this simple journal practice first thing in the morning, before you actually start your day. I want you to envision the day that you're going to have before you have it. This is using your creative abilities respectfully. Imagine, and you don't have to imagine everything, but for instance, I imagined this talk. I imagined it was going to go exceedingly well. I was going to make connections with everybody in the room, and that all of you will be blessed by this experience. I believe I've succeeded in that already. I'm not even done yet. But I envisioned it, and I felt what it would feel like to have that experience before it happened. And I wrote it down. Again, the feeling is the secret. But imagine, use your creative abilities. If you've got a presentation you're going to do, Imagine meeting the people you're giving the presentation to. Imagine the enthusiasm on their face, the smile in their eyes and their mouth. Imagine them saying, yes, when can we get started? Feel what it feels like to be in that place where people are saying yes to you. Instead of walking around in dread of, I hope this works, I don't know. That's a terrible planet to live on. Who wants to live there? Get in a place where things are thriving, beautiful, vibrant, and successful. That's the planet, the world inside your mind. All of us live in our own little world. It's in our minds. That's totally normal and totally fine. Didn't intend to rhyme there, but totally normal and totally fine. Make sure your inner world, your inner garden, is just that. It's thriving. Now, imagine that story, write it down, be brief, be Dr. Seuss about this, don't be Stephen King, and both not negative and not long, but be brief. Write a little short paragraph, but write it as a memory. You haven't lived it yet, write it as a memory. You are creating it and speaking it into existence as though it's already happened. I had a fantastic business meeting. My prospects were enthusiastically excited about working with me. We get started next week. Write it down. Last thing you're going to write, this is the fourth thing, one word, surrender, : Now you have essentially begun with gratitude, and gratitude is the gateway for all blessings. You have spoken declarations and affirmations about what your story is and what you believe to be true about who you are. You have written your day before it has happened, but you've treated it as though it's a memory, and you've had appreciation as a feeling and excitement as a feeling about what you've lived through. Now, the last thing you're doing is you're surrendering it to the Most High and saying, thank you for everything you've given me. Bring me this or something better. Now, I added the bring me this or something better part because sometimes we think this is as good as it's going to get. And sometimes God's going, oh boy, I got so many other cool things I want to give you if you'll only give me permission for it. Please let me give you more than you can ask for or imagine. Well, bring me this or something better does that. It opens the door. Hey, I think this is a pretty cool way for my day to go, but if you've got something better, totally open for it, and let that happen. All of this, writing it all down, takes about 5 minutes. Now, the thing it takes about another 2.5 to 3 minutes is what he was saying a second ago. Go back up to the top, read it out loud to yourself. Now, if you're in your room and there's other people in your room and you're like, I don't want to read this thing to myself because I might feel kind of embarrassed about reading this, fine, go into the bathroom, close the door, get some privacy. But this is about you and you and you and God. It's a declaration in a way that you are cultivating your inner garden, and it's a way you're cultivating your relationship with the Most High. Because these are declarations of faith about yourself, and this is a surrender prayer process of you envisioning the way that you want things to go, but then saying, you know what, I'm not going to try to control this and make it happen. I'm just going to believe and have faith that He's doing the invisible work under the soil to make all things come into life. Now, one other thing that you can do is you get to the end of your day, and let's say that something in the way that you envisioned your day didn't go as planned, or didn't go the way that you envisioned it at all. Okay, use your imagination to revise your day in a quick little way. Revise it the way that you wanted it to go. And relive in your imagination all the things that you wanted to experience. And notice how you feel when you do that. You feel like, yeah, okay. I can envision things working out in my favor. Here's an affirmation that you can write down. Everything is working for my highest good. God is working with me for everything that I desire to come into being. That's a statement of faith. It's also a statement of affirmation. And it's you taking care of your inner garden. Self-care is care for your garden. And everybody has a garden. What are some of the results that you can experience from this? Well, I'll tell you from firsthand experience in my own personal life, as well as all of the people that I've coached, all of the business leaders that I have counseled and done any sort of consulting with, confidence goes way high. Dealing with stress and strain in interpersonal relationships goes way down because the stress disappears. It's not the focus anymore. Goals get met. Harmonious relationships and interactions become the norm. And you feel successful every day. When you feel successful every day, you keep doing the work. It's not about work anymore. It's just something that's a part of your day. There's not one nutritional supplement that you take one time and do one set of push-ups and suddenly look like Hugh Jackman, if you're a guy, or Scarlett Johansson, if you're a lady. It doesn't work that way. We do what we do because we care about our gardens, and we want the tree of life to continue to grow from us and through us and bless ourselves and bless everyone that we know, especially our closest relationships, and especially where we are focusing so much of our time and our energy in our workplaces. Because we spend at least 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, invested in these places where we are working with other people and we're serving other people. And the ways that we show up as the best version of ourselves is by caring for ourselves and caring for our garden. Now, if you guys have any questions, I'm open to answering. Yes, sir.
Real quick, I think it was Paul said, Philippians 4:11, that must be content with whatever the circumstances. I really try to refer to that one. So what do you do really? How's the best way to handle a real jerk? What do you do when you run across a real jerk?
A real jerk. It's a great question. I'll tell you what I've done. I've changed the story about who they are in my mind. And I do this in my own time, but part of it is surrendering the experience that I'm having to God, and the other part of it is if I let this person's behavior influence the way that I think about them, then I'm letting somebody else influence the way that I'm letting somebody else influence my beliefs. What if I imagine this person to not be illustrating and showcasing these negative behavioral patterns? What if I imagine them as the best version of themselves? Can I do that? Do I have the capacity to do that? Let me just start there. Do I have the capacity to see somebody as something other than what they're showing up in my life as? Yes, I do. I have an awesome imagination. Okay, cool. What would it look like if they were just, maybe they're brash and loud and they say a bunch of like foul things and it's really annoying or whatever it is. Can I imagine them just being silent and present in a room with people without saying anything? Okay, I can do that. Can I imagine them smiling and laughing and it being because they're joyful, not because they're making fun of somebody and belittling somebody? Okay, I can imagine that. Okay, I'm just going to stop right there, because if I can do this, then I can send a faithful belief, loving energy in their direction and just say, you know what, I don't like their behavior, but that doesn't mean that I have to send some sort of hate or judgment in their direction. That's not my job. I'm going to choose to just say, and even if it gets to be where like the thoughts are negative, I've done this with several people that have their behavior caused me all sorts of pain. I got tired of feeling the pain when they would come to mind, so I'd say, you know what, this isn't my business. I send them love and peace. And anytime they pop into my head, I send them love and peace, I send them love and peace, I send them love and peace, I send them love and peace. And without fail, their behavior changed. And their attitude towards me changed. And relationships that were like this became like this. Now, did I do that? A little bit with my thoughts, and a little bit with my energy, and a little bit with my belief, but the one that does the invisible work under the soil, that's where the credit goes to. Sometimes you just have to distance yourself from situations and from people that are causing you all kinds of stuff and not try to fix the problem, because the problem isn't a problem that you can fix. But your thoughts are energy. And what energy you put out is the energy that makes everything. That's why the stories that we tell ourselves and the thoughts that we think are so important. Also, that's super simple.
One more question.
Yeah.
Don?
On your 7th point on this, because I've read ahead, and maybe I missed it, but you talked about operating from overflow.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. There's a metaphor I forgot to mention. Can I borrow your cup, David?
You don't backwash, do you?
I'm not gonna drink from it. No worries. So oftentimes we treat our hearts like a cup, and what we do is we go into other people and our relationships and we pour our love into other people. And then what ends up happening is what's happened with David's cup. The volume gets lower, and then we feel less than. We feel nervous. We feel anxious. We feel like we don't have enough attention or love or whatever. So what do? We go back to the people. Hey, I poured into you, Dawn. It's time for you to give back.
I definitely backwash, but
This is metaphorically speaking. But we hold our cups back up, we hold our hearts back up, and we go back to people that we've given to, and we want them to give back into us. We do this in business, we do this in our interpersonal relationships. It's just what we do, because we haven't been taught how to actually love. The way that you actually love is you get with God. God is an endless, overflowing waterfall. Now, that exercise we did when we opened up, closing your eyes and imagining peace and love and calm coming into you, where did you do that? You did that in your imagination. So you can go into your imagination, you can get with God. I imagine God as an endless, overflowing waterfall, and I just sit under the waterfall and I am good. Oh, it feels awesome. Now, under the waterfall, my cup fills up all the way to here, the top. I don't stop at the top, because what's inside the heart cup, that love in there, that's for me. I give from the overflow. God is endlessly overflowing. The almighty love is endlessly overflowing. We are given all kinds of examples in Scripture of ways to model our lives to look like people that operate like God operates. God operates from overflow, not from lack, not from scarcity. So, the way you give from overflow is you start your day in a place where you are filled up. And you spend your day in a place where you are filled up. That's why taking care of your inner diet and your inner mind garden and your inner heart garden is so important. Thank you, sir. You changing the story you tell yourself impacts the way that you show up in your life and in your business and in your relationships. Everything's connected. So operate from overflow. When I said I am love, love is overflowing. Love isn't needy. So be that.